Ladies and gentlemen, now we will resume the general debate, and I will call a colleague from Chile, be followed by the colleague from Bhutan.
Excelencias, distinguidos colegas, damas y caballeros, es un honor y un privilegio estar aquí hoy representando a Chile en esta importante 149 Asamblea de la Unión Interparlamentaria. El tema que nos convoca, aprovechar la ciencia, la tecnología y la innovación por un futuro más pacífico y sostenible, es de gran relevancia y urgencia para nuestro país y para el mundo. Innovaciones tecnológicas para la transición energética. Y Chile, como nación, se ha comprometido firmemente con la transición hacia un futuro energético más limpio y sostenible. Nuestro país cuenta con un enorme potencial de energías renovables como la solar, eólica e hidroeléctrica, que nos brindan la oportunidad de reducir drásticamente nuestras emisiones de carbono y contribuir a la mitigación del cambio climático. Las nuevas tecnologías de almacenamiento de energía, como las baterías de ion litio y las celdas de combustible, han sido fundamentales para superar los desafíos de la intermitencia de las fuentes renovables. Gracias a estos avances, podemos garantizar un suministro eléctrico confiable y estable, incluso en momentos de baja generación solar o eólica. Además, la eficiencia energética ha sido un pilar clave de nuestra estrategia nacional. La implementación de tecnologías como iluminación LED, electrodomésticos de bajo consumo y sistemas de gestión inteligente de la energía en edificios y ciudades nos ha permitido reducir significativamente nuestro consumo energético sin comprometer nuestro desarrollo. La inteligencia artificial y la robótica han demostrado ser herramientas poderosas para abordar desafíos sociales, ambientales en Chile. En el sector agrícola, por ejemplo, hemos implementado sistemas de monitoreo y optimización de riego basados en algoritmos de aprendizaje automático que han permitido un uso más eficiente del agua y un aumento de los rendimientos de los cultivos. Asimismo, en el ámbito de la gestión de recursos naturales, hemos desarrollado modelos de inteligencia artificial capaces de predecir y prevenir incendios forestales, optimizar la recolección de residuos y monitorear la calidad del aire y del agua en tiempo real. Estas soluciones han sido fundamentales para proteger nuestro ecosistema y mejorar la calidad de vida de nuestros ciudadanos y ciudadanas. En el campo de la salud, la robótica ha desempeñado un papel crucial en la realización de cirugías de alta complejidad con mayor precisión y menor invasividad. Además, la telemedicina apoyada en tecnologías de inteligencia artificial ha permitido que pacientes en zonas remotas puedan acceder a atención médica especializada, reduciendo las brechas de acceso a la salud. El papel de la ciencia y la innovación en la prevención y resolución de conflictos. La ciencia y la innovación también pueden desempeñar un papel fundamental en la prevención y resolución de conflictos a nivel global. Los avances en campos como la verificación de tratados, la monitorización ambiental y la diplomacia científica han demostrado ser una herramienta valiosa para fortalecer la seguridad y la cooperación internacional. Por ejemplo, en Chile hemos desarrollado tecnología de detección de violaciones de acuerdos y tratados que nos permiten identificar y denunciar cualquier actividad sospechosa que pueda poner en riesgo la paz y la estabilidad. Educación e investigación, STEM para un futuro más equitativo. Para aprovechar plenamente el potencial de la ciencia, la tecnología y la innovación, es fundamental invertir en educación y la investigación en los campos de ciencia, tecnología, ingeniería y matemática, STEM por sus siglas en inglés. Esto nos permitirá formar a la próxima generación de líderes e innovadores, quienes serán los encargados de desarrollar soluciones a los desafíos más apremiantes de nuestro tiempo. En Chile hemos implementado programas de becas y financiamiento para impulsar la investigación en áreas estratégicas como energía renovable, biotecnología, inteligencia artificial y robótica. Además, hemos fortalecido la integración de la STEM en nuestro sistema educativo desde la enseñanza básica hasta la universidad con el objetivo de fomentar el pensamiento crítico, la creatividad y las habilidades necesarias para afrontar los retos del siglo XXI. La Cámara de Diputados, legislar para la ciencia y la innovación. Quiero subrayar algunas áreas en que la Cámara de Diputados y Diputadas ha trabajado recientemente en la dimensión de ciencia, innovación y tecnología. A comienzos de este año aprobamos en general el proyecto que regula los sistemas de inteligencia artificial, estableciendo un área de soberanía digital para los sistemas de IA, robótica y tecnologías anexas, estableciendo límites, requisitos de implementación y aplicación, siendo exigible su cumplimiento a todos los actores públicos y privados que interactúen en estos ecosistemas tecnológicos. Del mismo modo, hace pocos meses nuestra Cámara aprobó el proyecto que fomenta la transferencia tecnológica y de conocimiento, estableciendo un marco regulatorio que encadena la vinculación entre la investigación, la ciencia, la tecnología, la innovación y el emprendimiento con las necesidades del desarrollo nacional y las iniciativas productivas del sector privado. Por ello, resulta imprescindible relevar la investigación de los centros universitarios en armonía y sintonía con las necesidades sociales, ambientales y productivas de los territorios en que se encuentran ubicadas. Estimados y estimadas colegas, Chile se compromete a ser un socio activo y confiable en este esfuerzo global. Estamos dispuestos a participar en iniciativas de intercambio de conocimiento, transferencia de tecnología, desarrollo de capacidades y encadenamiento científico para que juntos podamos construir un futuro más pacífico, sostenible y equitativo para todos y todas. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Now I would like to call a colleague from Azerbaijan to be followed by a colleague from Germany.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here today as a member of parliament to discuss a subject of profound importance, harnessing science, technology, and innovation for a more peaceful and sustainable future. Sustainability and peace are two pillars that define a brighter future for all. They are interconnected as the security of our planet depends on a balanced relationship between human activities and the natural environment. Technology, when used wisely, can help bridge this gap. Renewable energy solutions, for example, are transforming how we produce and consume energy, reducing our dependence on finite resources and cutting carbon emissions. In Azerbaijan, we are working to expand our own capabilities in these areas, leveraging our expertise to contribute to global energy security. But it's not enough to focus on technology alone. Innovation must be inclusive. As a member of parliament, I am committed to ensuring that our nation's efforts in STI are aligned with the principles of equity and shared prosperity worldwide. In this regard, international cooperation is crucial. Azerbaijan is already engaged in collaborations that promote knowledge transfer and scientific partnership with the goal of ensuring that STI benefits everyone, not just a selected few. Moreover, in our pursuit of peace, STI offers solutions that can mitigate conflicts before they arise. As we look to the future, we must remain steadfast in our commitment to investing in research, supporting education, and fostering public-private partnerships that can drive technological breakthroughs. Azerbaijan is dedicated to playing its role in this global effort, working alongside international partners to build a sustainable, resilient, and peaceful world for future generations. The future we want is within our grasp, but we must commit to using STI as a tool for the greater good, advancing not only progress but also equity, stability, and peace for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to call a colleague from Germany, followed by Austria.
Mr. President, fellow parliamentarians, the global digital divide is not merely a technological issue, it is a social and economic chasm that affects the very fabric of societies. For over 2.7 billion people globally, reliable access to the internet still remains a distant reality affecting their potential for innovation, education, healthcare, and business. In order to fulfill this potential, many things are needed. But first and foremost, the willingness of all states to provide free, open, and secure access to the internet. However, a rising number of countries are censoring online content that does not correspond with their own political narrative or ideology. Some are even restricting their population's access to the internet as a whole, and thus not only their freedom, but their development prospects. Here at the IPU, we are already one step further, not only debating basic access to the internet, but to much younger technologies like artificial intelligence that will shape the economic, social, and political development of states for decades to come. I call on all of you, my fellow parliamentarians, to make a conscious effort to implement the resolution on the impact of artificial intelligence on democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, as a clear commitment to human rights must always be the foundation of technological advancement. International accountability, exchange, and advice are crucial to achieve this, which is why I observe with great concern how especially autocratic states deliberately choose to decouple their data access and AI development from the international community. These restricted AI models are by definition less culturally nuanced, prone to propaganda, and undermine the collaborative nature of this technology. I encourage every one of my peers to support and open an international exchange on these topics and to counter protectionist tendencies held by some of the states present. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and now it's my pleasure to call a colleague from Austria, followed by a colleague from Nigeria.
Dear colleagues, today I speak to you as a young parliamentarian, but also as a female engineer and a mother of two daughters. Sorry, maybe, yeah, I just, sorry, 1 second. Maybe Matthias, kannst du mir meine Tasche schnell bringen? Matthias, danke, sorry. Ja.
So that's something that can happen when one of the obstacles on a female in politics. So you can continue.
Yeah, just 1 second. Just change to my other notes. Okay. Always good to have a backup. Okay. Truly sorry for this interruption.
You have a floor.
Yeah, thank you. Dear colleagues, today I speak to you as a young parliamentarian, but also as a female engineer and a proud mother of two daughters. It is evident that our children and our youth will be most affected by climate disaster. And it is our children and our young people that often go unheard in politics. Therefore, dear colleagues, it is our responsibility that we have to act and not only speak on their behalf. What is most important? We have to speed up our efforts. Science, the development of clean technologies and innovation can be an essential part of the solution when we face the challenges of getting rid of fossil energy and reach the goal of net zero emissions. As a matter of peace and security, we have to move forward towards green energy, energy independence, and energy security together. As a matter of peace and security, we have to reduce our dependency on critical raw materials by stimulating circular economy and circularity in order to promote sustainability and reduce the environmental impact. Dear colleagues, it is urgent. It is necessary to stay in a dialogue, but it is also necessary to act. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. And now I would like to call a colleague from Nigeria, followed by Finland.
Good afternoon. It is a great honor to address this assembly on a topic that is not only crucial for the future of our nations, but also for the future of our youth, harnessing science, technology, and innovation for a more peaceful and sustainable future. In today's rapidly changing world, science and technology are reshaping lives and societies. Groundbreaking achievements in fields such as sustainable energy, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and innovations to improve water and food security are not only enhancing our quality of life, but are also creating pathways towards peace and global sustainability. These innovations offer solutions to some of the most critical challenges we face today. They also provide hope for our younger generation, the leaders of tomorrow, who are deeply invested in creating a more peaceful, secure, and sustainable world. Nigeria, like many nations, understands the pivotal role STI plays in national development. Under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu, our country is making steady strides in leveraging these innovations to foster peace and sustainability. The Nigerian Senate, led by His Excellency Senator Akpabio, is at the forefront of these efforts, notably through the National Science and Technology Development Agency Act. This legislation serves as a comprehensive framework to foster innovation across key sectors such as renewable energy, healthcare, agriculture, and education. Equally important is the Cybercrime Act, which safeguards our digital infrastructure, building trust in the technology ecosystem. Yet, we cannot ignore the challenges we face: gaps in infrastructure, funding constraints, and the need for greater international collaboration. The IPU, as a global organization representing national parliaments, is uniquely positioned to assist developing nations unlock the full potential of STI by strengthening legislative frameworks, building capacity, and facilitating knowledge exchange. It is also crucial to remember that Nigerian youth, who represent more than 60% of our population, are energized by the possibilities that STI presents. From fintech to renewable energy, they are driving innovation, but they need an enabling environment. In conclusion, as we look ahead, let us remember that the key to peace and sustainability lies in our ability to innovate, collaborate, and build resilient systems that uplift all members of society. It is my sincere hope that the IPU will continue to be a steadfast ally to nations like Nigeria as we work together to harness the transformative power of STI. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now I would like to call a colleague from Finland, followed by a colleague from Iran.
Dear colleagues, we are facing an increased global geopolitical tensions, with large-scale conflicts taking place in multiple corners of the world. World leaders are looking to technological innovation to help them advance their military pursuits. We are seeing the development of so-called killer robots that can make decisions on where, when, and whom to strike, independently of human control. We have, for example, heard worrying reports of Israel's use of robots and automated tools in Gaza, where the genocide is currently taking place. This at the latest should serve as a call to action. What we need is a global, legally binding framework to regulate the use of autonomous weapon systems. And we must take steps to realize this goal now, when the development of such weapons is still in its early phase. Also, referring to the resolution adopted last spring, we should not let the new generation of weapons go unregulated. Automated weapon systems have potentially devastating consequences for humankind. I want to highlight this. The production, use, and trade of all autonomous weapons must be prohibited. With strict rules, we also need to make sure we don't accelerate global inequality, where the countries developing and using these weapons profit, while others pay the true cost. And to end on a positive note, I want to add that I also believe in the opportunities that technology can bring for sustainability, for human rights, and also for animal rights. An example, new innovations can help us transform our food systems, mainstream the production of plant-based food, and help bring down factory farming of animals. With tech, we can take significant steps forward, but only if we harness its potential for greater good. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I would like to call a colleague from Iran, followed by a colleague from Portugal.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. خانم رئیس، همکاران محترم، سلام. مفتخرم که امروز به عنوان یکی از جوانترین نمایندگان پارلمان ایران در این جمع حضور دارم. امروز ما جوانان وقتی به وضعیت جهان نگاه می‌کنیم شاهد فجایع و اتفاقات تلخی هستیم که ثابت می‌کند تلاش سیاستمداران نسل‌های قبلی نتوانسته باعث رفاه عمومی و خوشبختی انسان‌ها شود. در واقع نظم فعلی جهان و ساختار نهادهای بین‌المللی نه تنها نتوانست باعث صلح و امنیت پایدار شود، بلکه در بسیاری از برهه‌ها باعث وضعیت تراژدی که امروز هم شده است. امروز ما جوانان از پارلمان‌های مختلف جهان در حالی دور هم جمع شده ایم که فقط در یک سال گذشته هزاران نوجوان و جوان فلسطینی به خاطر اینکه به دنبال گرفتن حق اولیه خودشان یعنی خانه و سرزمینشان بوده‌اند به بدترین شکل ممکن توسط اسرائیلی‌ها قتل عام شدند. رژیم آپارتایدی و فاشیستی اسرائیل با جنایت‌های خود مفاهیمی مثل آزادی و حقوق بشر را از معنا تهی کرده و متاسفانه نهادهای بین‌المللی و بسیاری از دولت‌ها نیز فقط تماشاگر این وضعیت غمبار هستند. با وجود چنین تجربه‌ای آیا ادامه پیشرفت‌های تکنولوژیک و علمی به خصوص در حوزه‌های هوش مصنوعی باعث رفاه عمومی و سعادت نسل‌های بعدی خواهد شد یا باز هم چند قدرت خاص با انحصار علم و فناوری و سوء استفاده از این اختراعات این فرصت‌ها را نیز برای انسان‌ها به تهدید و خطر تبدیل خواهند کرد؟ پاسخ روشن است. آنچه سرنوشت جهان را تغییر خواهد داد تغییر نوع نگاه به انسان و جهان است، وگرنه بزرگترین دستاوردهای دانشمندان هم در گذر زمان به ضد خودش تبدیل خواهد شد. پس به همه شما پیشنهاد می‌کنم نامه تاریخی آیت الله خمینی به میخائیل گورباچف، آخرین رهبر شوروی، در اولین روز 1989 را بخوانید. گذر از نظام تک قطبی امروز به جهان چند قطبی فردا اگر با تغییرات و پیشرفت‌های مادی و ظاهری همراه باشد جهان را به جای بهتری تبدیل نخواهد کرد. به یک دیدگاه جدید، دانش و تصمیم نو یا به بیان بهتر یک بازاندیشی جدی نیاز داریم. متشکرم.
Thank you. Now I would like to call a colleague from Portugal, followed by a colleague from Malta.
Senhora Presidente, caros colegas, cada um de nós vê o mundo do sítio onde está. E nós, portugueses, com toda a humildade, temos na nossa história o facto de termos dado muitos mundos ao mundo e termos tido a possibilidade de ver essa riqueza e essa pluralidade que sempre nos enriqueceu a humanidade. A inteligência artificial, a blockchain e todas as novas tecnologias são absolutamente indispensáveis para a construção de um mundo mais sustentável, mas sobretudo de uma humanidade mais coesa e ciente dos princípios da Declaração Universal dos Direitos Humanos. Nós necessitamos, com as tensões que vamos vivendo ao nível geopolítico, da inteligência artificial. Precisamos, aliás, de todos os tipos de inteligência para podermos progredir com decência e com humanismo. O caminho deste desenvolvimento não pode, no entanto, cair apenas na iniciativa privada. Sendo ela indispensável, é fundamental que os parlamentos, e dentro deles os seus parlamentares jovens, possam exercer sobre o desenvolvimento da inteligência artificial um papel central, sob pena de afunilarmos as imensas oportunidades que ela nos pode conferir e, simultaneamente, deixarmos de poder utilizar este poderoso instrumento como forma de desenvolvimento. No passado, a humanidade teve em mãos armas poderosíssimas, e nem todas elas são de boa memória. É, pois, premente que em qualquer latitude do nosso globo nos possamos juntar e utilizar a inteligência artificial para a construção de um mundo mais coeso, mas também num sítio onde ousemos ser mais humanos. A Terra tem riquezas para todos, tem possibilidades para nos realizarmos e sermos felizes. Saibamos nós utilizar da nossa decência, saibamos nós utilizar da nossa humildade, da nossa compaixão, para vencermos aquilo que foram as tensões que aqui formos existindo, dialogando e colocando todo este desenvolvimento ao serviço daquilo que interessa. Saibamos nós ser mais ambiciosos e saibamos nós ser mais humanos nos dias que hão de vir. Muito obrigado.
Thank you. And now I would like to call a colleague from Malta, followed by Ireland.
Dear Chair, colleagues and fellow parliamentarians, I want to begin by expressing my gratitude for the opportunity to participate in this debate as a young parliamentarian. It is a privilege to speak to you today about the transformative potential of science, technology, and innovation in fostering a peaceful and sustainable future. As we confront urgent global issues such as climate change, resource scarcity, and social inequality, these tools can help us find solutions that not only improve our quality of life, but also promote harmony amongst diverse communities. Science equips us with the knowledge necessary to understand our world and the complexities of the challenges we face. Through research, we can develop clean energy technologies, enhance agricultural practices, and create sustainability urban environments. These advancements are not just theoretically, they are practical solutions that can lessen our carbon footprint and protect our planet for future generations. Technology serves as a catalyst for change, enabling unmatched connections, sharing, and innovation. Digital platforms facilitate collaboration across borders, empowering individuals and organizations to tackle both local and global challenges together. Technology is an essential partner in our quest for sustainability. However, innovation is at the core of the venture. It fosters creative thinking and pursues new ideas. By cultivating a culture of innovation, we can diverse solutions that align economic growth with environment responsibility. To effectively harness these powerful tools, we must prioritize education and collaboration. Equipping future generations with the skills to navigate and innovate in a rapidly evolving world is crucial. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I would like to call a colleague from Ireland, followed by a colleague from Madagascar.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I come from a country where we're very fortunate, where we've had peace on our island for almost 30 years. And if you ask people from my country in the 1990s, would that have been possible, they could have never dreamed of it. We now have the fastest growing economy in Europe. We've the lowest inflation. In 14 years, we've created almost 1 million jobs in our country. We went from 1.7 million to 2.7 million. And that's full employment now. And we did that when we had challenges like COVID, like the war in Ukraine, cost of living, and Brexit, of course, was a very important thing for us, and we got huge support from the European Union and a very good relationship with our UK colleagues. Now we have a new challenge in science, technology and innovation, and particularly in AI. While this new technology creates exciting opportunities, we also have to be able to anticipate the potential risks. These are inequality and technological unemployment. And these risks affect the most vulnerable and most well-off in our society. Countries must act now to minimize those risks. In my view, education is the best tool to breaking social inequality. Governments must invest further in education, allowing citizens to reskill or upskill in a very changing world. The IPU can and are playing a leading role, and my country would look forward to working with you as we face all of these challenges going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ireland. Now I would like to call a colleague from Madagascar, followed by a colleague from Thailand.
Excellence, Madame la Présidente, Monsieur le Secrétaire Général, Mesdames et Messieurs, avant d'entrer dans le vif du sujet, je souhaite exprimer avec une immense satisfaction que cette nouvelle législature que l'Assemblée nationale malagasy vient d'entamer marque une étape décisive en termes de représentation des jeunes. Grâce à nos efforts collectifs, le nombre de parlementaires de moins de 45 ans au sein de notre Assemblée nationale a considérablement progressé. Cette avancée illustre notre détermination à offrir aux jeunes une place active dans la construction de l'avenir de notre nation. En tant que jeune parlementaire et président du réseau des jeunes parlementaires de notre Assemblée nationale, je suis convaincu que dans l'ère actuelle, la science, la technologie et l'innovation STI, tout comme les réseaux sociaux, sont incontournables, non seulement pour le développement et la modernisation d'un pays, mais également pour l'efficacité des travaux parlementaires. Pour cette année, par exemple, Madagascar prévoit de mettre en place le projet Digital Rural Plus, qui vise à désenclaver les zones rurales malagasy par le biais d'une connexion Internet performante. Ces initiatives ont vocation à appuyer la jeunesse malagasy dans leurs projets concernant les technologies ainsi que les innovations. Récemment, en juillet de cette année, une équipe de jeunes malagasy appelée Robotique a remporté la place sur vice-champion du concours des panafricains robotiques compétition PARC qui s'est tenue à Dakar, au Sénégal, du 22 au 29 juillet. Leur projet a été de construction d'un robot agricole apte à fonctionner de façon autonome. Nous sollicitons d'appui de telles initiatives. Toutefois, il importe de faire remarquer qu'il existe encore une fracture numérique assez présente dans notre pays, notamment à travers le clivage milieu rural et milieu citadin. Les actions que j'ai évoquées précédemment visent justement à combler cette lacune. L'Assemblée nationale de Madagascar se dit prête à accompagner l'exécutif pour toute initiative en faveur de la population. Cette volonté affichée de contribuer au bien-être national a conduit l'Assemblée nationale de Madagascar pour cette législature à créer la Commission de développement numérique des postes et des télécommunications dans le but d'évaluer l'impact des programmes étatiques dans ce domaine. Ensemble, soutenons les jeunes en disant oui aux jeunes parlementaires. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you. Now I would like to call a colleague from Thailand, followed by a colleague from Peru.
Thank you, Madam President, esteemed colleagues. As young parliamentarians, we have to do whatever we can to build an open source community in order to cope with the upcoming technological advancement. We have to sophisticatedly scale up the expertise and competitiveness of young entrepreneurs in all industries and equip them with efficient, digital, and essential smart skill set of the future. To build this vibrant tech ecosystem, Thai Parliament passed the Research and Innovation Utilization Promotion Act in 2021, allowing young people, young startups, and young entrepreneurs to own their research achievement and freely manage their utilization that they can commercialize their own invention. But how can young people in our country can financially support their digital talents and inventions? We solve it by setting up technology and innovation-based enterprise development fund that hands-on opportunities to our young SMEs and startups through training, networking, and incubations. This will comprehensively catalyze new digital advancements across most economic sectors that will, in turn, fulfill one of our national dreams, a high-income country. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to ask colleague from Peru to take the floor, followed by colleague from India.
Señora Presidenta, muy buenas tardes, colegas parlamentarios, líderes, representantes presentes. El desarrollo de la tecnología, la ciencia y la innovación tienen el poder de transformar nuestras sociedades para tener un futuro pacífico y sostenible. Como comunidad global debemos de aprovechar estos avances de manera ética y responsable para construir un mundo donde el progreso tecnológico esté al servicio de la sociedad, asegurando la equidad y justicia social para todos. Mi país, el Perú, es un crisol de diversidad cultural, étnica, lingüística y posee una riqueza natural incalculable. Estas cualidades únicas deben ser protegidas frente a las posibles amenazas que un mal uso de la tecnología y la innovación podrían traer consigo. Al contrario, debemos aprovechar los beneficios para preservar nuestra biodiversidad, proteger a nuestras comunidades y garantizar una vida pacífica y sostenible. La clave está en la regulación y el uso consciente de estas herramientas poderosas. En el Perú contamos con la Ley del Sistema Nacional de Ciencia, Tecnología e Innovación que tiene como objetivo impulsar y fortalecer el conocimiento científico y tecnológico para promover un desarrollo sostenible y competitivo, tanto en lo económico como en lo social y productivo. Esta ley es una manifestación clara de nuestro compromiso con un futuro donde la tecnología esté al servicio y bienestar de toda nuestra población. Es esencial que establezcamos políticas adecuadas y fomentemos la cooperación entre naciones para que la ciencia, la tecnología y la innovación se conviertan en motores de inclusión y sostenibilidad. Solo así podremos alcanzar que el progreso beneficie a todos y nos encamine hacia un futuro más inclusivo, pacífico y sostenible. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Peru. Now I would like to call colleague from India, followed by colleague from Portugal.
Respected Chairperson and distinguished delegates, Namaskar from the largest democracy of this planet, India. India has made significant strides in science, technology, and innovation to achieve sustainable development goals, and much of this progress has been driven by the passion and ingenuity of our young innovators. Programs such as the Atal Innovation Mission and Startup India have created a vibrant ecosystem where young entrepreneurs and technologists are encouraged to develop solutions for pressing social and environmental challenges. From solar-powered irrigation systems to affordable healthcare diagnostics, youth-led innovations are already making a difference. India has known this firsthand through initiatives like the Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program, that young scientists and engineers from developing nations could fruitfully collaborate and share knowledge. Similarly, the South Asian satellite, launched by the Indian Space Research Organization, provides valuable communication and data services to our neighbors, underscoring how technological collaboration can lead to peace and development. We must encourage the youth to see science not as a career path, but as a tool for cooperation, collaboration, and peace building. Multinational scientific projects such as European Organization for Nuclear Research and International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor demonstrates how countries can work together. As I conclude, distinguished colleagues, we believe that the potential for youth-driven science, technology, and innovation is immense, yet it cannot be fully realized in isolation. Global collaboration is essential. Platforms must be created where young scientists, technologists, and innovators from different countries and cultures come together, exchange ideas, and work towards common goals. By doing so, we will not only unlock our potential, but also build a world that is more equitable, just, and harmonious for future generations. Dhanyavad, Jai Hind.
Thank you, India, for your passionate speech. And now I will call a colleague from Portugal to take the floor.
Senhora Presidente, caros colegas, permitam-me que me dirija a esta Assembleia em português, uma das línguas mais faladas do mundo. A ciência, a tecnologia e a inovação são ferramentas essenciais para moldar um futuro mais pacífico e sustentável. No entanto, devemos reconhecer que os países avançam a diferentes ritmos. Muitos ainda enfrentam barreiras significativas no acesso a essas tecnologias, perpetuando desigualdades e limitando o desenvolvimento global. É nossa responsabilidade garantir que a ciência, a tecnologia e a inovação sejam acessíveis a todos, promovendo um desenvolvimento mais justo e inclusivo. E esses avanços devem sempre respeitar os direitos fundamentais. Não podemos permitir que a tecnologia seja usada para condicionar liberdades como a privacidade, a liberdade de expressão ou a autonomia das escolhas individuais. A tecnologia deve servir para emancipar os cidadãos e assegurar o acesso destes a serviços essenciais como a educação, a saúde ou a alimentação, independentemente das suas condições económicas, sociais ou geográficas. E entre os avanços tecnológicos, a inteligência artificial tem ganho destaque. Embora a inteligência artificial potencie as oportunidades, é crucial que a sua regulação seja uma prioridade. E a regulação deve ser assumida pelos países, assente em princípios e regras universais. Devemos garantir que a inteligência artificial não seja usada para distorcer a percepção das pessoas sobre a realidade em que vivem, nem para manipular a consciência humana, a liberdade ou a verdade. A ciência, a tecnologia e a inovação também desempenham um papel fundamental na gestão dos recursos naturais escassos. Com tecnologias mais eficientes e uma gestão inovadora da água, da energia e de outros recursos, podemos reduzir a competição que muitas vezes origina conflitos. Promover uma melhor gestão dos recursos não só favorece a sustentabilidade, como também previne tensões e promove a paz. Por fim, a ciência, a tecnologia e a inovação devem constituir uma ponte para novas oportunidades, especialmente em regiões onde a instabilidade ou o baixo desenvolvimento económico restringem o acesso à educação, à saúde e à alimentação. A inovação pode ultrapassar essas barreiras, ajudando também quem mais precisa e potenciando a capacitação das novas gerações. Em resumo, a ciência, a tecnologia e a inovação têm um papel decisivo na construção de um futuro mais justo, pacífico e sustentável. Cabe-nos a nós, enquanto legisladores, assegurar que esses avanços sejam utilizados de forma ética, inclusiva e regulada, para que todos possam beneficiar das suas oportunidades, sem perder de vista os direitos fundamentais e a dignidade da pessoa humana. Muito obrigado.
Thank you all for your speeches, and thank you for respecting the time. And now we will take a short break and resume the assembly at 3:30. for the announcement of the Chamber Prize. So see you in 10 minutes. Thank you.
ce que j'ai oublié?
Good afternoon, colleagues. We can start our program now. So we will begin with our Cremy Percy Prize Award ceremony. And I would request that the members who are standing can take their seats because we are starting now. Distinguished colleagues, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special ceremony to award the 3rd edition of the Cremy Percy Prize, the Member of Parliament of the Year Award. Colleagues, the Cremy Percy Prize is named after our founders, William Randall Cremy of the United Kingdom and Frederick Percy of France. The prize is open to any parliamentarian who makes an outstanding contribution to the defense and promotion of the IPU's objectives, as well as those who contribute to a more united, peaceful, sustainable, and equitable world. In 2022, the inaugural prize was exceptionally awarded to 2 nominees, one woman and a group led by a man, to underscore the importance of gender equality at the IPU. Ms. Cynthia Lopez Castro of Mexico and the chairman and all the members of the Verkhnova Rada of Ukraine were awarded the prize at the 145th IPU Assembly in Kigali, Rwanda. In 2023, the 2nd edition of the prize was awarded to the former Speaker of Tuvalu Parliament, Mr. Samuel Teo, at the 147th IPU Assembly in Luanda, Angola. In recognition of his outstanding work on climate action, linked to the theme of the year and the IPU's climate campaign, Parliaments for the Planet. This year, the winning candidate should have an exceptional record when it comes to peace and security, the theme of the year. The prize selection board, made up of former presidents of the IPU and prominent members of parliament representing each geopolitical group, met 4 times to deliberate on the candidates. I am happy, dear colleagues, to say that the board was unanimous in its decision this time around. Now the moment has come to announce the winner for 2024 Cremy Percy Prize. Please, can we play now the video announcing the winner? The IPU belongs to the 46,000 parliamentarians in the world. To celebrate the diversity and incredible work of these brave men and women, I am happy to announce the 2024 edition of the Cremy Percy Prize. Thank you so much. So I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Dr. Kabadi for this award. I understand that Dr. Kabadi was not able to be here in person, and so I call on the Vice President of the Transitional National Council to come up to the podium to receive the award and then say a few words on behalf of Dr. Kabadi, the awardee for this year 2024 Cremy Prize.
Madame la Présidente de l'Union interparlementaire, Monsieur le Secrétaire général de l'Union interparlementaire, Mesdames et Messieurs les Présidents des Assemblées nationales, chers parlementaires, membres de l'Union interparlementaire, distingués invités, Mesdames et Messieurs, vous allez excuser ma voix si elle n'est pas bonne parce que l'émotion est à son comble. Le docteur Haroun Kabadi, qui pour des raisons indépendantes de sa volonté d'État ne s'est pas déplacé, m'a demandé de parler en son nom. Et c'est le mot de remerciement du docteur Haroun Kabadi que, si Madame la Présidente permet, je vais lire. Je voudrais tout d'abord remercier notre prestigieuse organisation, l'Union interparlementaire, qui a eu l'ingénieuse idée de primer depuis quelques années les mérites de ses membres qui se distinguent par leur inlassable effort et par leur lutte pour la noble cause, celle de la recherche constante de la paix, de la sécurité, de la bonne gouvernance et du développement durable. Qu'il me soit permis, en cette circonstance solennelle, chargée d'émotion, de vous dire combien je suis sensible à l'honneur dont l'Union interparlementaire me gratifie aujourd'hui en me décernant le célèbre prix Cremy, qui symbolise la reconnaissance du sacrifice consenti et la considération des actes salutaires posés par le récipiendaire, l'humble parlementaire, serviteur de la République que je suis. Madame la Présidente, vous pouvez considérer qu'au-delà de ma modeste personne, cette haute distinction touche l'ensemble des Tchadiens et particulièrement le président de la République, Mahamat Idriss Déby Itno, premier parlementaire, garant de notre Constitution et de l'ensemble des lois et règlements de la République, qui s'est investi personnellement pour que la diplomatie parlementaire tchadienne puisse faire entendre sa voix et se hisser au rang qu'elle mérite aujourd'hui. Au nom donc du président de la République, chef de l'État, de mes collègues conseillers nationaux, de mes collaborateurs, de l'ensemble du peuple tchadien tout entier et en mon nom personnel, j'exprime mes sincères remerciements à l'Union interparlementaire et aux membres du jury pour cette grande marque de sympathie à l'endroit de mon pays, le Tchad. Mes remerciements s'adressent également au groupe géopolitique africain qui n'a pas douté un seul instant à porter et soutenir ma candidature et fait de ma modeste personne le premier parlementaire africain à recevoir cet illustre prix. Madame la Présidente, l'acte que vous venez de poser a une double signification. Il constitue d'une part un encouragement pour nous à poursuivre notre action parlementaire de plaidoyer et de sensibilisation, tant auprès des gouvernants que des décideurs, et d'autre part, permettre aux parlementaires de s'investir corps et âme et s'engager durablement pour contribuer à la paix et à la sécurité dans le monde. Recevoir ce prix n'est pas seulement un honneur personnel, c'est aussi et surtout une reconnaissance des efforts collectifs de tous ceux et de toutes celles qui ont d'une manière ou d'une autre contribué au renforcement et à la consolidation des valeurs de paix et de sécurité que nous partageons. Ce prix nous rappelle que chaque action, chaque parole, chaque geste peut contribuer à promouvoir la paix et la sécurité durable dans nos espaces communautaires. Distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs, je voudrais finir en réitérant mes remerciements à l'Union interparlementaire, aux éminents membres du jury et à tous ceux qui ont bien voulu prendre part à cette cérémonie amicale, sympathique et amiable. Je forme l'espoir que notre organisation commune, l'Union interparlementaire, innove dans la sagesse et afin que la diplomatie parlementaire puisse contribuer à l'avènement d'un ordre international nouveau, bâti sur la paix, la sécurité, la tolérance, la coopération et la solidarité entre les peuples de toute la planète. Vive l'Union interparlementaire, vive la diplomatie parlementaire, vive la solidarité des peuples. Je vous remercie.
colleagues, that concludes this special ceremony. And now I would like to take this opportunity to encourage all of you to nominate candidates from your geopolitical groups for next year's prize under the theme Gender Equality. So the deadline will be 30th June of 2025, but you can already start working out in your geopolitical group who will be the nominees. And this time, the nominees from the geopolitical group, instead of being one candidate and an alternate, this time it will be 2 nominees, but a man and a woman from every geopolitial group. So geopolitical groups will be nominating 2, 1 woman and 1 man. There will be no alternate this time. So please go do the soul searching who in your geopolitical group can receive the award next year, October. So, and I said gender equality because when we sat down, we agreed that next year we will be celebrating 30 years of Beijing platform of action. So we thought it was necessary for us to also try to think along those lines and, of course, recognize the people who have worked so hard in this area. And the nominations are open to any sitting member of Parliament. That said, colleagues, we will now go to our special accountability segment of the general debate. And this is mostly about follow-up action by IPU member parliaments. Sorry? Okay, colleagues, before we do that, we are going to see some publications that the IPU has been able to do. So, Secretary General, please introduce those.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Okay, very good. Thank you, Madam President. When you stand here during your debates and you say Parliament should do this, the assumption is that parliaments have the skills and the knowledge and experience to take action in the areas that you commit them to. And it is the role of the IPU to provide tools to members of parliament so that they can most effectively carry out their functions. Today, we are pleased to announce 3 new publications that have been produced by the IPU that are intended to assist parliaments and parliamentarians in their roles as legislators. And these publications, first of all, I'd like to introduce the one on human security and common security to build peace. It is intended to equip parliamentarians worldwide with innovative approaches to address conflict and promote peace, the IPU theme of this year. Human security and common security to build peace offers a comprehensive guide for legislators to tackle security challenges both domestically and internationally. With the world seeing the highest number of countries engaged in conflict since World War II, this toolkit is timely. The toolkit
points out that wars and conflicts are increasingly complex, involving multiple parties and geopolitical competition. They are often fueled by criminal activity and the spread of disinformation on social media, amplified by artificial intelligence. The toolkit proposes two alternative approaches to decision-making for parliamentarians. One, human security. This people-centered approach focuses on contextualized, tailored legislation that prioritizes individual well-being across multiple dimensions, including personal, food, and health security. Two, common security. Building on human security principles, this approach emphasizes dialogue, multilateralism, and international collaboration to solve problems on a larger scale. So, Mr. Director of Ceremonies, you may wish to launch that video that explains further what this publication is all about, and then we can. Thank you very much. Madam President, distinguished delegates, the second publication that we are pleased to announce this afternoon is the World e-Parliament Report 2024. It is the 8th edition of this endeavor by the IPU. It has been produced by the IPU Center for Innovation in Parliament, and the findings that you'll have in this report are a survey of some responses from 115 parliamentary chambers in 86 countries. So we can say that those findings broadly represent the picture of the e-Parliament in the world today. The report points out that digital transformation in parliaments is gaining momentum. Over 2/3 of parliaments now have multi-party digital or multi-year digital strategies, and 73% have formal modernization structures. Cloud computing and artificial intelligence are increasingly being adopted in parliaments, with 68% cloud services being used and 29% embracing artificial intelligence tools. Cybersecurity is a top priority, with 70% of parliaments adopting national cybersecurity standards and 53% having internal cybersecurity strategies. However, the report also points out an increasing digital divide between rich and poor parliaments, which can have an impact on the quality of democracy. This edition of the report introduces the IPU Digital Maturity Index, a pioneering tool to help parliaments assess their progress across 6 key areas, including governance, infrastructure, and public engagement. Mr. Director, you may want to launch that video presenting this publication.
As the digital age reshapes our world, parliaments are evolving alongside it. The IPU World e-Parliament Report 2024 reveals how parliaments around the world are integrating technology to meet the demands of modern governance. Based on data from 115 parliamentary chambers, the report shows clear evidence that digital transformation is accelerating. 68% of parliaments have multi-year digital strategies, and 70% have adopted national cybersecurity policies as AI and cloud computing gain more traction. But the new IPU Digital Maturity Index shows a growing income-based digital divide. Legislatures in Europe and the Americas often achieve top marks, while the Pacific region and sub-Saharan Africa struggle to keep pace. To overcome challenges, the report emphasizes the importance of capacity building and investment, as well as inter-parliamentary collaboration and knowledge sharing. A digitally advanced parliament is a stronger, more effective, more transparent and more accountable parliament. Download the report now.
Madam President, distinguished members of Parliament present here, the last publication that I am pleased to announce today is the one entitled 10 Actions for Stronger National Climate Commitments. The year 2023 shattered heat records in the world, and 2024 is poised to be even hotter. And so it is critical that parliaments push their governments to ramp up climate ambitions. Parliaments are pivotal in transforming these pledges into robust policies backed by solid budgets and ensuring governments are held accountable for their promises. That's why we are releasing a new guide to help parliaments and parliamentarians enhance their oversight of national climate commitments known as Nationally Determined Contributions, or NDCs. This guide is essential for ensuring that countries meet their obligations under the Paris Agreement, which aims to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. With the 2025 deadline for NDC submissions fast approaching, the guide provides a critical window of opportunity for parliaments to shape their country's climate futures. The guide provides detailed background information about NDCs and allows or outlines 10 practical actions that parliaments can take to strengthen their oversight practices. These actions include a consultative and inclusive approach to developing the commitments, aligning NDCs with national policies, monitoring alignment with international commitments, strengthening legal and institutional frameworks, securing sufficient funding, and tracking and reporting on progress. The new guide is a sister product to the IPU's 10 Actions for Greener Parliaments and those who work in them, published last year, which encourages parliaments to reduce their carbon footprint. Both guides are part of the IPU's climate campaign, Parliament for the Planet, designed to mobilize parliaments to accelerate action on the climate emergency. Thank you.
Colleagues, I think the Secretary General and his team deserves a round of applause for the good work that they have done. Well, I'm part of it, so, so I received that as well. Colleagues, we are now going to the special accountability segment of the general debate, under which we are following up the action by IPU member parliaments. So I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to the 5th edition of the special accountability section of the general debate. And this is item 4 of our agenda. Indeed, an accountable IPU is an organization in which the assembly decisions are taken back to all 4 corners of the world and translated into national realities for the well-being of the people. When I ran for president, this was one of the points I made during my campaign, and I intend to underscore this during my tenure. We need to implement the decisions we make here at IPU. We have a duty to suit our actions to words and translate IPU declarations, resolutions, and outcomes into national realities. This time, I think we can go to the, yeah. So in 2024, 37 IPU member parliaments were designated to respond to a survey and report on the IPU's decisions. All other IPU members were also invited to do that voluntarily, and some have participated in this respect. And so a standardized survey was sent in March 2024 with a deadline of 15th June 2024. Based on members' responses, the IPU usually, and has done that even now, prepares a written report which will be presented during this special accountability segment. So in 2024, we have received responses from the following parliaments. I think you can see there. So we have from the 37 parliaments that we had sent the request that they should respond, we have received quite a very good number of the responses, up to an 81%, which is very commendable, and I would like to commend all of you members who participated in this exercise. At the same time, there are countries that did not respond when they were called upon to do that. That is 19%, and the countries are there. You can see their names in the middle column. At the same time, we have received voluntary responses from other countries on the last quorum. So I would like to also applaud these countries that have volunteered to respond much as they weren't required to. So thank you so much once again, members, for taking this exercise very seriously. In line with this commitment, the IPU statutes state that it is the duty of the members of the IPU to submit the resolutions of the IPU within their respective parliaments, to communicate them to the government, to stimulate their implementation, and to inform the IPU Secretariat of the steps taken and the results that have been obtained. To facilitate this process of reporting back to the IPU on the results obtained, each year a number of parliaments from each geopolitical group are designated to report and answer the questionnaire that the Secretariat of IPU would have sent to those parliaments in March every year. And of course, once again, voluntary responses are also welcome. So literally every country can participate in this exercise, but the Secretariat will be following up closely with the countries that they have the obligation to report. Now, based on the responses that we have received in the course of this year and how far we have gone with it, I would like to give the floor to our Secretary General for him to take us through what those responses mean to us. And here I'm being asked to let Ambassador Anda present the results on behalf of the Secretary General. Ambassador Anda, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and good afternoon, distinguished delegates. As you have mentioned, we have received a wealth of information from our members, indicating the very good work and the initiatives they have taken in follow-up to IPU resolutions and other decisions. In advance of this assembly, we circulated the 2024 report of the UN Secretary General, and if you haven't had the chance yet, we would kindly invite you to take a look at that report that also has an annex with very specific cases that are worth drawing your attention to. You referred, Madam President, to the very good response rate of 81% this year, and thank you again to all the members that have responded. We have a second slide here that shows that from 2 of the geopolitical groups, we had a 100% response rate. 3 other geopolitical groups, the rate was between 60 and 90%, and 1 group that had a response rate of 50%. In terms of, next slide please. In terms of the main findings, we are pleased to see that a significant majority of 76% are relaying the IPU outcomes to their respective parliaments. The data also indicates that nearly half undertook additional steps in their respective parliaments. These measures include enacting or revising legislation and or decisions influenced by IPU outcomes, discussing these measures in Parliament, either through a debate in plenary or within committee work, submitting enquiries to the government regarding subjects deliberated and resolutions approved at IPU assemblies, and other such initiatives. What we would like to kindly request is that we would very much like to encourage more parliaments to translate IPU outcomes into domestic legislation and policy, and we highly encourage members to hold debates within their parliament and in the committees on what you found most interesting and of use to your parliament coming out of the IPU assemblies. Next slide. In the report, you will find a number of specific examples of the good work done by member parliaments. And we've just picked a few of these to give you a taste of what we have found. In Australia, for example, Parliament has established an autonomous and independent National Anti-Corruption Commission. In Mexico, constitutional amendments were introduced to lower the age of eligibility for Parliament and the Executive Cabinet to 18 years and respectively 25 years. In Burundi, the National Assembly established a commission on the human rights of MPs to investigate and report on cases of alleged violations. In Namibia, Parliament implemented affirmative action policies to increase women's representation in decision-making positions. In the Philippines, Parliament ratified 2 of the main peace and security treaties promoted by the IPU, and this is the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. This was done in 2021, and the Arms Trade Treaty in 2022. And a 6th example that we would like to bring to your attention
In Pakistan, Parliament established a fully functional SDG Secretariat, which provides guidance for legislative implementation of the 2030 Development Agenda. Next slide. Thank you. And the next one, you have a QR code that takes you directly to the report of the Secretary General. And in terms of recommendations, we would take this opportunity just to underscore the main ones that we try to make on a yearly basis. Because when it comes to enhancing the impact of our collective work, ultimately it is you, the members, that are in the driver's seat. As such, we invite all members to submit Assembly reports to your Parliament, to share copies of Assembly declarations and resolutions with the other MPs in your Parliament, to promote debates in Parliament on Assembly outcomes, to look to see if it's necessary to draft or amend legislation in line with IPU resolutions and recommendations, and of course to systematically engage in our annual reporting exercise. And Madam President, as a last slide, we would like to show here the countries that will be invited in 2025 to engage in our annual reporting exercise. And again, we would encourage all members that have good information that they would like to share. Please do not hesitate to do so. It's an opportunity also for us to disseminate your work more broadly among the global parliamentary community, to amplify the key messages from your parliaments, and certainly to raise visibility about the work and the impact of your work at the level of the national parliaments. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Ander, for this report. And now, colleagues, we have a number of countries that would like to address us on the basis of the reports that have been shared from their countries. Their interventions will be 2 minutes each, and you will be addressing us from your seats. But before we do that, our first speaker on this list is the speaker Katyavivi from Namibia. But before I call him, we have some special words to say to him, because he has announced his retirement from political service. So I'm going to ask the Secretary General to say some few words of tribute, and then we will call him to the podium. So he's the only person who is going to address us from the podium. The rest of you will address us from your seats. Secretary General, you have the floor.
Madam President, I would suggest that you call Speaker Katyavivi to the podium so I can address him while he is there.
Speaker Katyavivi, please come to the podium, and the Secretary General is going to say a few words about your distinguished career with us here at IPU, but also the dedication you have to your country, Namibia. Mr. Secretary General, you take the floor.
Thank you. I hope this is on. And Madam President, I promise to be short. I've spoken a lot this afternoon. After this, I'll shut up. But I could not let pass this opportunity to pay tribute to a very special person I have known in my career in the IPU. I was present when Namibia joined the IPU in 1990. And since then, we have had a series of very distinguished personalities leading Namibia within the IPU, including the presidency of this organization. And today, we want to pay tribute to somebody who has worked as part of that tradition of Namibia playing an indelible role in the work of this institution. I want to name Speaker Katyavivi. I think you are one of the very few people I call by your first name, Peter, all the time. Because over and above our professional relationship, Peter, we do have a personal relationship which I value very much, and that has informed our collaboration. I'm sure that your history will be written in thousands of pages, but let me just single out some of the qualities that I've been able to admire in you. I have, over these years, seen your spirit of accommodation, the constructive spirit in which you contribute to the deliberations of this organization, the conciliatory mode that you definitely adopt when you address your colleagues. And in this world fraught with a lot of tension and stress, it is something that we need, and I want to recognize you very much for that. Also, I want to recognize your sterling credentials in terms of youth empowerment. I believe you were one of the very few speakers of this organization that introduced young members of parliament here. When we started the youth movement in the IPU, I remember distinctly you're bringing a young lady, I think she was called Emma Theophilus, yes, to the IPU. She was virtually a baby when she was introduced to the IPU. And today she serves as a distinguished Minister of Information and Communication Technology. And she's holding her own. This is an example of how the older generation can empower the younger generation to take responsibility. And I want to pay tribute to you and Namibia on that score. I hope that we can all borrow a leaf. As I said, we can go on, but I just want for us here, and I'm sure Madam President will also be saying a few words, but on my personal behalf and on behalf of my colleagues who have been working with you, we want to say thank you very much, Peter. We will miss you in the IPU. We'll miss you in the IPU, but we know that you are retiring to go and live by the sea, and when you live by the sea, your mind keeps ticking, and you'll continue to contribute. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that acknowledgement, and I'm going to be brief in referring to that. And before I do that, permit me to extend our warmest congratulations to our colleagues from Chad and the people of Chad for this particular honor. It's highly, highly appreciated by the rest of us. Madam President, Secretary General, colleagues, members of Parliament, distinguished invited guests, permit me to also state the fact that I'm repeating what I said earlier when I spoke to you, that I'm attending in my capacity as a Speaker of Parliament and member and the head of the national delegation to IPU. As I indicated, the fact that I'm just about to retire. I will retire from my responsibility as a Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Namibia in March 2025. I would therefore like to take this opportunity to formally bid farewell to you all. I'm doing so with a great sense of appreciation for the time we have spent together at this wonderful institution called IPU. It has been a privilege for me to work with you all and to contribute to our collective efforts. As I gracefully exit my responsibility at IPU, I would like to urge us all to remain committed to the democratic principles of unity and cooperation that guide our work and the collective desire to make the world a peaceful place, accompanied by future development that guide us in terms of prosperity and peace and stability. All what is left for me is simply to say, may God bless you all, and thank you for permitting me to say a word or two about my exiting from active life of Parliament. Let me return to the subject that brought me here, ready to come and stand before you, and that is the subject of youth agenda, the subject of youth agenda does not only lie in the heart of democratic governance, but also to secure the future of our nations, accompanied by young people who are prepared to contribute to the development of their respective countries. I am indeed honored to share with you one of Namibia's most transformative initiatives, and that is being the Children's Parliament. For the past 17 years, this has been an exemplary model of youth engagement that has had a remarkable impact on policy formulation in our country. Children's Parliament has become more than just a space for dialogue, but as an institution where young people hold us as legislators and government to be accountable. Through this platform, the children of Namibia actively participate in shaping the future of our nation, are advocating for policies that reflect their particular concerns and safeguards their rights. It serves as a vital bridge between policymakers and young citizens of our country, reinforcing our democratic principles and encouraging civic engagement from a very early age. The Secretary General alluded to one of the young persons who were members of the Children's Parliament, and today you find those young people now finding their way into Parliament. And one thing that I've actually acknowledged with a sense of satisfaction, as one of the old members who were at the founding, at the very creation of our Parliament, I see the difference. They tend to be better prepared, well equipped, using technology in a very effective way to be heard and to make a case that actually tells the story of young people, why we should listen to them. Together with UNICEF Namibia, we have created a space where young voices are not only heard, but are acted upon, where children's rights through education reform and social developments are brought to the forefront of national policy discussions. In other words, they act and they provide us with fresh ideas about the conditions, the issues that affect them in a particular way. They recently concluded the 6th session of Children's Parliament that brought together 62 young parliamentarians representing all the 14 regions of Namibia and including marginalized and indigenous communities as well, to have a voice in terms of issues that affect them in a particular way. Tackling serious issues, presiding on issues that affect us in the field of education, reform, climate change, gender inequality, mental health, etc. What truly sets this platform apart is that it goes beyond discussions. The Children's Parliament is about results and accountability. And that is the difference that we have brought about that does play an important role in our decision making. Motions passed during these sessions find their way into real policy implementation. In previous session, the Children's Parliament successfully advocated for the Child Care and Protection Act number 3 of 2015, a vital piece of legislation that protects the welfare and the rights of children across the country as a whole. During the recent concluded session, young parliamentarians highlighted that while as a country we have made progress in empowering women and the girls, there is also a growing need to address the challenges faced by the boy child, particularly in the field of education and in emotional development. As a result, a motion was passed calling for greater attention to the educational and emotional needs of boys, ensuring that gender equity is achieved across all levels. After each session, a report is compiled and tabled in the National Assembly, debated and approved, and submitted to the executive for implementation. This has become a routine and part of our culture now in our country. Periodically, the relevant standing committees request line ministries to appear before them to account for progress with regard to the implementation and the resolution taken as a result of the presentation made through the Children's Parliament. This serves as a guiding framework for future action and reflects the commitment of these young parliamentarians to hold us accountable for implementing their recommendations. Children's Parliament is more than just a platform. It is a catalyst for change, empowering the next generation to take part in the governance and policy development. As a nation, we are committed to ensuring that voices of these young leaders continue to shape the future of our country. Through partnerships like the one I referred to, UNICEF Namibia, we are building a stronger and more inclusive democracy where youth engagement is not a token gesture, but a fundamental part of our governance structures. To conclude, I introduce the two young leaders from the Children's Parliament who are part of the Namibian delegation to the 149th IPU Assembly and related meetings to share with you briefly their experiences and insights about the Children's Parliament. And as I said, for me, as a person who was at the very creation of our parliament, I see the difference. The difference when we took over a parliament, some of our older members were trying to find their way in debates, but I feel what we have introduced so far have really helped to introduce the young children parliament to find their feet, to speak with confidence, and to be much more guided in terms of what they are looking for. What they are looking for is a platform to articulate their needs, and they have been able to find that. Madam President, thank you for offering me this opportunity to share our particular experience. It's highly, highly appreciated.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now I have two names here. I don't know if you will have to split your 2 minutes between the two young members of parliament. Ms. Prisha Mokojumela, 1 minute, and then Mr. Gerson Neumbo, 1 minute.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for this opportunity to share the journey of Namibia's youth in governance. I am Prisha Mokojumela, the chairperson of the Standing Committee of the Rights of Children and Climate Change from Namibia's Children's Parliament. What makes the Children's Parliament so impactful is that it goes beyond debates. The motions we table during the sessions are submitted to Namibia's National Council and Assembly, where they can influence real legislative change. This is how we as youth hold our leaders accountable and make our voices count. Through our work with the Children's Parliament, we have had the chance to raise these critical issues, and I am proud to say that our voices are being heard. The communique and the report we issued at the end of our session reflects our commitment to ensure that our voices are indeed heard. I will encourage all IPU members, Parliament, to pilot this initiative of the Children's Parliament, thereby ensuring that our voices are heard. We are the leaders of today and not necessarily tomorrow. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gerson Neumbo, 1 minute.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for this opportunity to address this important gathering. I am Gerson Neumbo, the chairperson of the Education, Information, Communication and Technology in the Namibian Children's Parliament. What makes the Children's Parliament so unique is that we are given the opportunity as young people to shape our own future. It's through these platforms like the Children's Parliament that we are able to hold the government accountable and ensure that the agenda for children is being advanced. Our Children's Parliament is more than just a forum for debate. It is a platform where we, as young people, shape the real policy direction. I encourage all IPU members, parliaments, to see youth engagement as a critical part of youth governance modules. We in Namibia, through our Children's Parliament, has shown that when young people are given the voice, they can drive solutions, promote accountability, and shape the future. I once more encourage all members to emulate our example and create conducive environments for our children and young people to grow as productive citizens, thereby shaping the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, I was actually tempted to ask the age of the two members of parliament, but I will not ask them. I'll ask the speaker later, so that we all get to learn to trust the young ones. Now we will go to Libya. Mr. Fawz Al-Nuairi. Can you please press the request? Yes,
السلام عليكم جميعا. السيدة رئيسة الاتحاد، السيد الأمين العام للاتحاد، السادة الزملاء البرلمانيون، السادة الحضور الكريم. إن مجلس النواب الليبي من البرلمانات في اتحادنا، وهو برلمان حريص ملتزم بالمشاركة في كل الجلسات الماضية، وحريص على أن يعكس كل مخرجات اتحادنا ضمن تشريعات بلادنا. وحيث أن الوقت محدود، فنسرد إليكم بعض التشريعات التي اتخذها مجلس النواب الليبي وأدخلها ضمن التشريعات في بلادي. فهي على سبيل المثال إلى الحصر. مثلا استصدر مجلس النواب القانون رقم 17 لعام 23 بشأن الأنشطة الإشعاعية والنووية والرقابة عليها. أيضا مجلس النواب استحدث لجنة برلمانية جديدة تعنى بالتنمية المستدامة، وكذلك أصدر قانون رقم 5 لعام 22 بشأن مكافحة الجرائم الإلكترونية والمعاملات المالية. أيضا وأخيرا وليس آخرا، كما يعلم الجميع بلادي هناك مدينة اسمها درنا تعرضت لكارثة طبيعية، فإن مجلس النواب بادر بإصدار قانون ينظم إنشاء صندوق إعمار ليبيا تحت رقم 1 لعام 24، وهذا الصندوق باشر مهامه في فترة لا تقل عن عام وأحدث تغيير كلي بهذه المدينة المنكوبة. فهذه جزء من النشاطات التي قام بها مجلس النواب الليبي، وأخذ بكل التوصيات ومقترحات اتحادنا وعكسها ضمن تشريعاته، وأن مجلس النواب هو حريص على إدخال واتخاذ كل هذه التوصيات التي تصدر على اتحادنا هذا. والآن ممكن لو سمحتم هناك فيديو توضيحي قدمناه للأمانة العامة يسرد بعض هذه الأعمال، فنأمل مشاهدته من الجميع، وشكرا.
Thank you so much. So we will have now the video from Libya. Please play the video.
Implemented the resolutions of the IPU and contributed to attaining the goals of sustainable development. In the light of promoting peaceful coexistence and inclusive societies, some of our most recent achievements in this regard is the election of the 6+6 committee that aims to create a constitutional base to democratically solve the Libyan political solution. Secondly, the formation of the Justice and Reconciliation Committee that has pushed hard for a draft law of national reconciliation. Our most recent legislative work includes approving a strategic migration plan and establishing the National Migration Observatory. We're also very happy to share that this year we have had very high levels of public engagement, including seminars by the Libyan Red Cross, as well as signing our very first MOU with a local NGO.
عقد مجلس النواب العديد من الجلسات الطارئة لمواجهة الأزمات المتتالية التي حلت بالبلاد، ومن أبرز القرارات التي اتخذها مجلس النواب خلال هذه الفترة هو إنشاء صندوق الإعمار. هذا الصندوق الذي باشر عمله خاصة في مدينة درنا التي تعرضت لكارثة طبيعية أدت إلى وفاة آلاف الأشخاص وتدمير آلاف المنازل، والصندوق قام بواجبه في أقل من سنة كانت 90% من مشاكل مدينة درنا منحلة، وقام مجلس النواب بتخصيص مبالغ مالية قادرة على إعادة استقرار وإعمار هذه المدينة.
On the night of September 10th last year, one of the deadliest storms to ever strike the Mediterranean ravaged the city of Derna and its surrounding areas. The destruction was immense, with over 10,000 lives tragically lost. Today, 1 year later, thanks to the efforts of the Libya Development and Reconstruction Fund, led by engineer Bilgasim Hifter and the Libyan army, Derna has transformed into a beacon of hope for the entire country. In less than a year, 243 large-scale projects have been initiated in Derna, with over 60% completion rate. These projects span across various sectors, including the construction and refurbishment of 2 hospitals, 3 sports centres, more than 2,500 housing facilities, 7 bridges, 8 state-of-the-art hotels, 2 sanitation facilities, the rebuilding of Al-Fatayah University, numerous infrastructure projects including electricity, roadworks, and many more, all contributing to the city's rapid recovery. The impact of this reconstruction extends beyond Derna, reaching as far as Benghazi, 300 kilometers away, and the southern regions of Libya. In Benghazi, a new sports city, including a 45,000-plus seat football stadium. Other major projects include the construction of 8 new bridges, the refurbishment of 7,000 housing units, dozens of educational facilities, including the complete restoration of the University of Benghazi's campus. This progress marks a new chapter of hope and resilience for Libya. As we look forward, the Libyan Parliament is committed to overcoming the challenges and advancing the goals of the IPU and fostering sustainable development across our nation. Thank you for your attention. Has implemented the resolutions of the IPU and contributed.
Thank you so much, Libya. We will now go to Canada. Ms. Salma Ataulajan will be followed by Australia, Linda Reynolds.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, it's an honor for me to speak on behalf of the Canadian delegation in this special accountability segment of the IPU general debate. Today, I would like to focus on the Manama Declaration on promoting peaceful coexistence and inclusive societies fighting intolerance. I welcomed the opportunity to intervene during the general debate on this theme during the 146th Assembly in Manama, Bahrain, when I spoke about a study into Islamophobia then being undertaken by the Standing Senate Committee on Human Rights, of which I am chair. Our committee undertook a year-long study into incidents of Islamophobia in Canada in 2023. It published its findings and recommendations in a report tabled in November of 2023, entitled Combating Hate, Islamophobia, and its Impact on Muslims in Canada. Less than a month later, our committee issued another report following a study into anti-Black racism, sexism, and systemic discrimination in the Canadian Human Rights Commission, as well as the wider public service. Findings show that the Canadian Human Rights Commission, which is mandated to protect people from discrimination and ensure equal rights for everyone, is itself dealing with discrimination within its walls and therefore needs a clean house. The committee is in the process of releasing another report, this time on the issue of forced global displacement. You may recall that by adopting the Manama Declaration, we committed ourselves to various objectives, including to make parliamentary proceedings consistently open to the input of relevant civil society organizations and community groups representative of the diversity of society. Going forward, we are committed to ensuring that our hearings remain open and accessible to all. Canada continues to act on its international commitments to counter discrimination and intolerance in all their forms. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Canada. Now we'll hear from Australia. Linda Reynolds, you have the floor. Uzbekistan will be next. Linda, does your microphone work? Oh, hold on. Is it working there?
Thank you very much, Madam President and colleagues. Today I would like to give you an update on a resolution that was passed by the Assembly in Angola at the 147th Assembly. The resolution was carried by acclamation, and it was called Orphanage Trafficking, the Role of Parliaments in Reducing Harm. The resolution was sponsored by Australia, and I was the rapporteur for this. We had nearly 50 countries contribute to the drafting of this resolution, and it was a significant achievement for the IPU because this was the first global action plan on orphanage trafficking, which is a relatively new form of child trafficking and slavery that now impacts between 5 and 8 million children. So since the resolution passed 12 months ago, Australia has worked with the IPU Secretariat, and I've put a proposal to the Standing Committee of Democracy and Human Rights for their consideration this afternoon. And if that proposal is agreed, then we will come back to the next Assembly in Uzbekistan next year, and we will provide a workshop for parliamentarians and also prepare together a new handbook with the ILO and hopefully the UNCRC. Now, this is a different approach. I understand it is the first time that the IPU has worked with the sponsor of resolutions to not just pass a resolution, but to work on an implementation plan that we can then share with legislators. So I just want to thank you, President, for your leadership and the Secretary-General on this issue. And I'm looking forward to this new approach to implementing our resolution. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda, for the commitment to this cause, and we shall always support those efforts. We're now going to Uzbekistan. Mr. Ravshan Alimov.
That's one. Okay. Thank you, Madam President, dear colleagues. Your Excellencies, the Parliament of Uzbekistan is actively involved in the legislative reforms that align with the Sustainable Development Goals. Following the adoption of UN General Assembly Resolution 77/159, Uzbekistan has enhanced its legislative framework to support SDG implementation across sectors such as education, healthcare, infrastructure, and justice. In October 2018, Uzbekistan adopted to the national context 16 SDGs, 126 targets, and 206 indicators. To exercise effective parliamentary oversight over the implementation of national SDGs, a parliamentary commission has been functioning since 2020. Uzbekistan has also placed a special emphasis on gender equality and social inclusion, which are essential for achieving the SDGs. In implementing the Luanda Declaration, Uzbekistan has focused on strengthening its legislative frameworks, enhancing parliamentary oversight, reforming the judiciary, and promoting good governance. Those efforts, which align with the SDG 16, aim to foster peace, justice, and the development of inclusive, accountable institutions at both national and regional levels. Through the parliamentary reforms, Uzbekistan is promoting the principles of transparency, accountability, and the rule of law. In conclusion, I would like to say that the document highlights the crucial role of legislative bodies in ensuring that governments remain committed and accountable in their efforts to achieve global goals for development, peace, and sustainability. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you so much. Maldives, we will check the video. Yeah, so can you please take us to the screen? Yes.
Follow-up on IPU resolution, including the 20th People's Majlis has 93 members, including 3 women from 5 political parties. There are 19 standing committees covering areas like social affairs, human rights, national security, IT, climate change, economic affairs, and public accounts. Induction program. A comprehensive induction program was held for newly elected members, covering areas such as legislative processes, parliamentary committees, secretariat services, international platforms, and media relations. IPU Executive Committee of the Maldives. Established in 2004, the IPU Maldives Branch Executive Committee manages key decisions on IPU participation, including delegation selection. The 6-member committee, chaired by the Speaker or Deputy Speaker, is elected for 5 years. Follow-up on IPU resolutions. The IPU Maldives Branch Secretariat sends resolutions to relevant Majlis committees and ministries for incorporation into law and policy. Follow-ups are conducted to monitor actions taken. Parliamentarism Day. On 30 June 2024, the Majlis and Maldives National University held a panel on Parliament's role in promoting good governance. Panelists emphasized transparency, accountability, and public participation in parliamentary work. Democracy Day. The Majlis celebrates International Democracy Day with activities like essay writing and art competitions. Practice Parliament for Youth and Women. In partnership with UNDP, the Majlis conducts practice parliament programs to empower youth and women. The program includes workshops on civic education, parliamentary processes, and policy discussions, followed by mock sessions. Parliamentary friendship groups. The Majlis has 24 parliamentary friendship groups with parliaments across Asia, America, the Pacific, Arab, and African regions, promoting stronger bilateral relations. CPA self-assessment in the Maldives. In February 2024, the Majlis completed a CPA self-assessment, becoming the 30th Commonwealth legislature to do so. The assessment reviewed governance structures with a report published on the CPA website.
Thank you so much, Maldives. We will now go to Germany. Mr. Ulrich Leftet. You have the floor. German? Yeah, go ahead. Is your microphone working? No?
It's green. It's green.
Now it's red.
All
Honorable
right,
President, dear colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, since the 146th Assembly in Bahrain of the IPU in March 2023, the humanitarian situation in crisis-stricken areas such as Afghanistan, Ukraine, Syria, South Sudan and Yemen, or newly added Gaza, has worsened. The number of refugees worldwide has doubled from 60 million to 120 million in a very short time. This dramatic development emphasized the urgent need for action by the international community. The need for support, for example, from the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, has increased enormously since 2020, when over 80 million people, one-time Germany, worldwide were on the run. A budget of $10.6 billion is needed for 2024, almost twice as much as a few years ago. Despite high donor contributions, the UNHCR funding gap was around 55% in 2023. At the World Food Programme, the gap in the same year was around 60%. In a complex environment where priorities and needs change rapidly, UNHCR and World WFP require flexible and timely funding to help where the need is most urgent. We all know that the United Nations and humanitarian organizations are at their strongest when they are given sufficient room to cooperate and operate. Germany made its contributions in 2023 by providing $436 million to the UNHCR and $1.2 billion to the WFP, positioning itself as the second largest donor worldwide. However, we cannot guarantee that we will be able to maintain this level of commitment in the future. For example, Germany spent 40 billion euros on Ukraine in the last 2 years of war implemented by Russia. Out of this spread, we spent a plus 100 billion euros on warfare for long denied but now needed defense capacities. I therefore appeal to economically strong countries to significantly increase their commitment to humanitarian aid and the fight against hunger. This responsibility must not rest on a few countries of the West alone, like the US or Japan or the Nordic states of Europe, but requires global action. A personal comment. Since I entered IPU in 2018, I have seen IPU as Forum of Parliamentarians who try to find paths out of hatred and war, hunger or human trafficking, longing for peace and stability. IPU stands for diplomacy and talks behind the scenes. Don't let IPU become like a box ring. Don't let us applaud aggressors. Let us struggle together for peace in the world. Let us help together the weak and poor, not the one who has the most mighty fist in their hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we now go to Bahrain, Mr. Jamal Fakhro. Is it done? Can you press the microphone requesting for the floor? Or do they just show the slides? Bahrain, are you here? Can you raise your hand? Okay, can you press the request, please? Okay. Why mine is not showing?
معي الرئيسة؟
Yes. Go ahead.
مساء الخير جميعا. معالي الرئيسة، الحضور الكريم، يسعدني أن أقف أمامكم اليوم ممثلا لمملكة البحرين في لحظة تاريخية تكتسب فيها قضايانا الإنسانية أبعادا إنسانية جديدة. نحن هنا لنجدد العهد على قيم التعايش السلمي والتفاهم المتبادل التي تمثل ركيزة أساسية لعالم يسوده السلام. في شهر مارس من العام الماضي وأثناء استضافة مملكة البحرين لأعمال الجمعية العامة 146 للاتحاد البرلماني الدولي، أطلقنا إعلان المنامة الذي يرمز إلى التزامنا العميق بتحقيق التعايش السلمي وتعزيز الحوار بين الثقافات والأديان. واليوم أود أن أستعرض بعض الإنجازات التي تعكس روح هذا الإعلان. في هذا السياق أشير بكل فخر إلى الدعوة الكريمة الصادرة من حضرة صاحب الجلالة الملك حمد بن عيسى آل خليفة ملك مملكة البحرين المعظم حفظه الله ورعاه خلال رئاسته للقمة العربية 33 التي استضافتها بلادي في شهر مايو من العام الجاري، حيث دعا جلالته إلى عقد مؤتمر دولي للسلام في الشرق الأوسط يهدف إلى إيجاد حل شامل للقضية الفلسطينية وإقامة الدولة الفلسطينية المستقلة ذات السيادة. إن هذه الدعوة تعكس التزام مملكة البحرين العميق بالسلام والعدالة، كما تؤكد مملكة البحرين دوما على ضرورة إقرار اتفاقية دولية لتجريم خطابات الكراهية الدينية والطائفية والعنصرية، وهو ما يعد خطوة حيوية نحو تعزيز التفاهم والتعايش بين الشعوب. وفي إطار الجهود المستمرة لتعزيز قيم السلام والتسامح، قام مركز الملك حمد للتعايش السلمي بتوقيع اتفاقية للتعاون مع الاتحاد البرلماني الدولي في شهر سبتمبر الماضي، تهدف إلى بناء القدرات وتعزيز الأطر التشريعية والبرامج التعليمية والتدريبية من خلال تطوير آليات التنسيق والعمل المؤسسي المشترك لترسيخ قيم التسامح والوئام والتعايش السلمي. وقد جاءت هذه الشراكة لتعزيز قيم التسامح والتضامن الإنساني ونشر ثقافة السلام والتفاهم الدولي كركيزة أساسية لبناء مجتمع عالمي أكثر سلاما وعدالة، وتتفق تماما مع مبادئ إعلان مملكة البحرين ودعوة جلالة الملك المعظم أمام الدورة 146 للجمعية العامة للاتحاد البرلماني الدولي. وتؤكد على أهمية إقرار اتفاقية دولية لتجريم خطابات الكراهية وضمان عدم استغلال المنصات الإعلامية في التحريض على التعصب والتطرف. نحن نؤمن بأن العمل المشترك مع الشركاء الدوليين هو السبيل لتحقيق مستقبل أفضل وأكثر إشراقا لشعوب العالم. كما نؤمن أيضا بأن هناك العديد من المبادرات الجيدة الداعمة لثقافة التسامح والتعايش إذا تم تنفيذها بكل دقة سيكون لها أبلغ الأثر في تعزيز تلك القيم النبيلة بين مجتمعاتنا، مما يمهد الطريق لعالم يسوده السلام والاحترام المتبادل. معالي الرئيسة، الجمع الكريم Yes, okay. إن تلك الجهود المستمرة تظهر للعالم أن مملكة البحرين ليست مجرد مكان للعيش، بل هي مجتمع نابض بالحياة يحتفي بتنوعه، ونعمل جميعا فيه نحو بناء مستقبل مشرق يتجلى فيه السلام والاحترام المتبادل ويرتقي بمستوى التفاهم بين الشعوب ويحقق التقارب والتعايش المشترك. إننا هنا اليوم لنؤكد على أن العمل من أجل السلام هو مسؤوليتنا جميعا، وندعو كل أشقائنا وزملائنا في برلمانات الدول الأعضاء إلى تكثيف الجهود المشتركة وتبادل الخبرات الناجحة لبناء عالم يسوده السلام والاستقرار. وفي الختام أود أن أؤكد لكم جميعا أن مملكة البحرين ستظل دائما حاملة لواء التعايش السلمي، ملتزمة بمبادئ إعلان المنامة، وعازمة على بناء مستقبل مشرق يعكس قيم الإنسانية المشتركة، لإيمانها بأن السلام ليس مجرد هدف بل هو رحلة تتطلب منا جميعا التضافر والعمل المستمر. شكرا لإصغائكم والسلام عليكم.
Okay, colleagues, now we go to India. Mr. Harivansh. India? Can you try now?
Yes, it's working.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President, for giving the floor. Distinguished delegates, the Parliament of India is firmly committed to the ideals of the Inter-Parliamentary Union and its mission to strengthen parliaments and promote democracy globally. India emphasizes the importance of fostering peaceful coexistence and inclusive development. As mother of democracy, India has a tradition of discussion, debate, respect for the rule of law, and democratic values. These are deeply embedded in our socio-political consciousness. Our philosophy is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is, the world is one family. India successfully hosted the G20 summit in 2023 under the theme One Earth, One Family, One Future. This reflects our vision for an inclusive global order. India, in cooperation with the IPU, organized the 9th P20 summit, reaffirming our commitment to parliamentary diplomacy as a means to promote international peace and prosperity. India believes that road to combating climate change goes through climate justice, which envisages a vision of compassion towards the poorest. India is dedicated to sustainable environmental practices, promoting life, that is lifestyle for environment, as part of our nationally determined contributions. Our updated NDC aims for net zero by 2070. Our government has implemented a comprehensive strategy to combat abuse, exploitation, trafficking, and violence against children, signing bilateral agreements and participating in multilateral initiatives to address these issues. India has a strong parliamentary democracy, an independent judiciary, and institutions like the Election Commission, Comptroller and Auditor General of India to sustain and support our political system. We pursue the policy of zero tolerance against corruption and taken several measures to combat corruption, including the establishment of institutions like Central Vigilance Commission and Lokpal or Ombudsman. The Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 has been amended to address contemporary concerns and showing positive impacts on the society. The Right to Information Act has significantly contributed to promoting transparency, accountability, and ensures citizen participation in India's governance system. In conclusion, we reaffirm our commitment to the objective of IPU and hope that by working together we can build a more democratic, peaceful, and sustainable world. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much, India. Now we go to Denmark, will be followed by Tunisia. Denmark, can you request for the... Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Can you... Denmark?
Dear IPU colleagues, first and foremost, I would like to thank the General Secretary, Martin Chung-Kong, for inviting me to a bilateral meeting the other evening. Here, my colleagues and I had the opportunity to gather as representatives from countries with many different ways of building our societies. It is in such forums that we take the first steps toward better coexistence through dialogue. Dialogue is the key. We cannot solve the big challenges alone. That's why I'll continue to the conversations with you, my fellow parliamentarians. It's important that we break down the historical barriers between us. We cannot change the past, but together we can create a better future. As parliamentarians, we have a responsibility to improve our democracies for future generations. We need to give young people more influence and responsibility. The future belongs to them. The climate crisis is a clear example. If we don't act now, we will eventually have no place to live. My message is clear. Let's work together to solve the planet's problems. Because right now, humanity is the planet's biggest problem, but we can also be the solution. It requires dialogue and action now. Thank you for the floor and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Now we are going to Tunisia. Can you request the floor?
حضرة السيدة الرئيسة، حضرات السيدات والسادة، في إطار متابعة تنفيذ اللائحة الصادرة عن الدورة 146 للاتحاد البرلماني الدولي التي انعقدت بالبحرين من 11 إلى 15 مارس سنة 2023 والمتعلقة بالجريمة الإلكترونية المخاطر الجديدة للأمن الدولي، يشرفني إعلامكم أن مجلس نواب الشعب التونسي اتخذ العديد من الإجراءات التي من شأنها تفعيل توصيات هذه اللائحة، وقد أفضت هذه الإجراءات إلى انضمام تونس إلى اتفاقية مجلس أوروبا المتعلقة بالجريمة الإلكترونية. وبناء على ذلك عقد وفد من مجلس نواب الشعب التونسي ضم أعضاء لجنتي التشريع العام والحقوق والحريات يوم الاثنين 4 ديسمبر 2023 بمقر المجلس جلسة عمل مع وفد ترأسته رئيسة مكتب برنامج الجنوب السيبرني التابع لمجلس أوروبا للتباحث بشأن استكمال الإجراءات القانونية المتعلقة بانضمام تونس إلى هذه الاتفاقية. وقد صادق مجلس نواب الشعب التونسي بالأغلبية المطلقة على الاتفاقية بتاريخ 6 فيفري 2024 لتصبح بذلك تونس الدولة رقم 70 التي تنضم إلى الاتفاقية في شكل قانون أساسي مؤرخ في 6 فيفري 2024 يتعلق بالموافقة على انضمام الجمهورية التونسية إلى اتفاقية مجلس أوروبا المتعلقة بالجريمة الإلكترونية المعتمدة ببودابست في 23 نوفمبر 2001. ومن جهة ثانية تم وضع بروتوكولين ملحقان باتفاقية بودابست. يتعلق البروتوكول الأول بتجريم الأفعال ذات الطبيعة العنصرية وكراهية الأجانب، في حين يتعلق البروتوكول الثاني بتعزيز التعاون والكشف عن الأدلة الإلكترونية. يهدف انضمام بلادنا إلى هذه الاتفاقية إلى تعزيز التعاون وتبادل البيانات والمعطيات الرقمية في مجال مكافحة مختلف أشكال الجريمة السيبرانية التي تشمل بالخصوص الاتجار بالبشر والعمليات الإرهابية وتبييض الأموال والقرصنة الرقمية والتزييف العميق والاستغلال الجنسي للأطفال والعملات الافتراضية المشفرة، وإلى بناء قدرات القضاة ورجال الأمن في مجال التعامل مع الأدلة الإلكترونية التي قد تتواجد في مناطق معادية يصعب التنقل إليها. وفي إطار متابعة تنفيذ الاتفاقية المذكورة شارك وفد من مجلس نواب الشعب التونسي في أشغال اجتماع الإطلاق الرسمي لمشروع الجنوب السيبرني للتعاون الإقليمي في مجال مكافحة الجريمة الإلكترونية الذي نظمه مجلس أوروبا والذي انعقد بلشبونة يومي 17 و 18 أبريل 2024. ويمتد هذا المشروع الجديد على فترة 3 سنوات. وأنا كشابة تونسية برلمانية سأعمل جاهدة في مكافحة الجريمة الإلكترونية ومخاطر الذكاء الاصطناعي الموجه ضد النساء والفتيات والأطفال باعتبارهم أولى ضحايا الاستعمال البغيض لهذه التكنولوجيات. وشكرا على الاستماع.
Thank you very much. Now we will hear from Mexico. Marcela Guerra will have 2 minutes and then we'll go to Hungary.
Muchas gracias, señora presidenta. Saludo a todo el presidium. Bueno, pues México ha trabajado muchísimo sobre la Agenda 2030. Nosotros establecimos un grupo de trabajo plural en el seno de la presidencia de la Cámara de Diputados para poder ubicar cada una de nuestras iniciativas ya votadas por el Pleno dentro de uno de los OEDS y así poder cumplir con la meta que nos pone la ONU. En ese sentido, nada más voy a enumerar algunas de ellas. Hemos legislado más de 120 iniciativas. Tiene que ver con profundizar en la paridad y la igualdad sustantiva de las mujeres con la famosa ley de 3 de 3, que quiere decir el de castigar a todos los agresores que no puedan acceder a ningún cargo público toda vez que hayan sido sentenciados por violencia familiar o violencia laboral. Todo lo que tenga que ver con la prevención a la violencia sexual contra las niñas y niños y adolescentes. Asimismo, aprobamos una ley en favor de los trabajadores de México y las trabajadoras de México para aumentar sustancialmente su salario, pero además sus derechos laborales. Aprobamos la ley silla, que significa que todo patrón debe de tener una silla o varias sillas para todos aquellos trabajadores y trabajadoras que están de pie más de 8 horas al día y que no tienen derecho a sentarse, y por eso le hemos llamado la ley silla. Esta ley fue muy celebrada en México, y que todo esto, señora presidenta y todos compañeros y compañeras, tiene que ver con la Agenda 2030. Hemos buscado cumplir desde el Parlamento con esta agenda y formamos ese grupo plural. Y repito, cada una de las iniciativas que votamos en México y que se hace ya una ley, tiene que ver con alguno de los OEDS, con alguna meta o con alguna acción de la Agenda 2030. Y esto nos ayuda como país a cumplirla. Es cuanto. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. We now go to Hungary, Monica Bartos, and then we will look at the video. Monica, please request for the floor.
Dear Madam President, dear fellow representatives, I'm pleased that I have the opportunity to inform the IPU Assembly about the recent visit of Madam IPU President to Hungary. To our greatest delight, Her Excellency, Madam Tulia Exen, paid an official visit to Budapest between 6th and 9th of October in dual capacity, as President of the IPU and also the Speaker of the National Assembly of the United Republic of Tanzania. The special occasion of the visit was that Hungary, as one of the 9 founding members, celebrated the 135th anniversary of the establishment of the Inter-Parliamentary Union and also the IPU membership of the Hungarian National Assembly. Madam President was received by the President of Hungary, the Speaker of the Hungarian National Assembly. She had meetings with deputy speakers of the Hungarian Parliament and also the members of the board of the Hungarian IPU group. The Hungarian Parliament organized a festive event on this special occasion, the guest of honor of which was Madam IPU President, and it was also attended by Ms. Cynthia Lopez Castro, President of the IPU Bureau of Women Parliamentarians. We introduced a golden-plated picture symbolizing the long-lasting relationship of the two institutions and opened a photo exhibition of the history of the IPU. Please accept to introduce the short video which has been made on the special visit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll now look at the video. Thank you so much, Hungary.
A világ közvéleménye ma is békét akar. Az Interparlamentáris Unió politikai súlyát és jelentőségét akkor őrizheti meg, ha megőrzi képességét arra, hogy a 21. századi világpolitikában is a párbeszéd intézménye legyen.
Bringing opposing sides around the table to encourage dialogue, peace and diplomacy lives in the DNA of IPU.
Nagy öröm és büszkeség számunkra, hogy a Magyar Országgyűlés
és annak Magyar Nemzeti IPU csoportja 135 éve folytat aktív tevékenységet a parlamentek legrégebbi és egyetlen globális világszervezetében.
Thank you so much, Hungary. I'm truly humbled by that gesture. Now we go to Suriname, Honorable Cheryl Dick-Steele. Please, yeah.
Madam President, distinguished colleagues, thank you for the opportunity to reflect on our commitments and assess the progress we have achieved. Today, I will focus on a resolution that has far-reaching implications for the entire world. It doesn't matter which part of the globe you are in, it impacts everyone and everything. I will discuss the resolution regarding support for countering terrorism and violent extremism within the context of Suriname. Parliamentarians have reaffirmed their commitment to global efforts against terrorism and violent extremism. Suriname recognizes the significance of these initiatives and has taken steps to address similar challenges within its own borders. All of these actions aim to ensure that peace, justice, and strong institutions are guaranteed. One significant step in this process is the implementation of electoral reforms. Suriname has reviewed its electoral laws and systems to ensure fair representation of diverse groups within the parliament. This includes measures to facilitate the participation of underrepresented populations, thereby aligning with the IPU Declaration on criteria for free and fair elections. Furthermore, Suriname has strengthened its legal framework to combat terrorism, incorporating international standards and aligning national laws with global anti-terrorism commitments. For instance, Suriname has made progress in enhancing measures to tackle money laundering and terrorist financing, addressing certain technical compliance deficiencies identified in the mutual evaluation process. The government has initiated programs focused on community development and education, aiming to empower local population and address the root causes of extremism. These programs emphasize inclusivity, targeting vulnerable groups to prevent radicalization. One of the key initiatives in Suriname right now is public awareness. Efforts to raise awareness about the danger of violent extremism and promote peaceful coexistence among different cultural groups have been implementing, aiming to create a resilient society. Through these proactive measures, Suriname not only addresses its internal security challenges, but also plays a role in the collective international response to terrorism and violent extremism, embodying the spirit of the resolutions adopted by the IPU Assembly. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Now we go to Morocco. Honorable Hadouj Slassi. Please place the request. Is it working now? Is it working? Morocco?
No. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Mesdames et Messieurs, je suis honoré de prendre la parole aujourd'hui pour citer quelques efforts du Royaume du Maroc dans plusieurs domaines cruciaux. Le Maroc démontre un fort engagement dans divers domaines conformément aux résolutions de l'Union interparlementaire, et ce sur des questions comme la coexistence pacifique, la paix, la sécurité et la lutte contre le changement climatique. En juin 2023, le Parlement marocain a accueilli une conférence de dialogue interconfessionnel soulignant son modèle de tolérance, pluralité, diversité et coexistence culturelle. Sur le plan sécuritaire et institutionnel, le Maroc participe activement aux opérations de paix de l'ONU et a mis en place des initiatives pour renforcer la transformation numérique et la capacité institutionnelle régionale. En matière de lutte contre le terrorisme, le pays adopte une approche globale intégrant aspects sécuritaires, religieux et socio-économiques. Depuis sa constitution de 2011, le Maroc a entrepris d'importantes réformes institutionnelles améliorant transparence et efficacité. Le modèle de développement lancé en 2021 vise à la décentralisation du pouvoir. En ce qui concerne l'environnement, le Maroc est pionnier depuis la conférence de Rio 92 et a accueilli la COP 22 en 2016 à Marrakech. Des lois clés, la loi 1103 sur la protection de l'environnement et la 1203 sur l'étude d'impact environnemental et la 1309 sur les énergies renouvelables et la loi 2210 sur l'utilisation des sacs plastiques biodégradables encadrant ces efforts environnementaux. Pour combattre la cybercriminalité, le Maroc a établi la Direction générale de la sécurité des systèmes d'information concernant la traite des êtres humains. Une loi majeure, la 2714, a été adoptée en 2016 suite à une étude de l'ONU Femmes et du ministère de Justice. Madame la Présidente, ceux-ci sont quelques efforts du Maroc résumés et brièvement cités. Faute de discipline et respect du temps, démontrent l'engagement du Maroc envers un développement durable et une coopération internationale renforcée. Le Royaume du Maroc reste déterminé pour jouer un rôle actif dans la promotion de la paix, la sécurité et la justice sociale, et ceci aussi bien sur le plan national que sur le plan international. Merci pour votre attention.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, we will now hear from Malawi, Honorable Kenny Kandodo, followed by Thailand. Malawi, can you request the floor? Can you press? Can you press the next if that is not working? Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Madam President.
But then that one, you might be very uncomfortable. Maybe you change the chair. Switch off that one, change or move the seat so that you sit comfortably. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's better. Okay. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Dear colleagues, allow me to present a report on behalf of the Speaker of Malawi Parliament. This will be on progress made on the implementation of some of the resolutions which have been adopted at various IPU assemblies. During the 146th IPU General Assembly in Manama, Bahrain, the IPU adopted a resolution entitled Promoting Peaceful Coexistence and Inclusive Societies Fighting Intolerance. During the 147th IPU Assembly, the IPU also made another declaration on parliamentary action for peace, justice, and strong institutions, where we committed to address the root causes of conflict that could often cause economic inequality and discrimination against entire groups due to gender and other differences. I would like to report that Parliament of Malawi, after passing a Peace and Unity Bill in 2022, we strengthened our oversight function as Parliament to ensure that Peace and Unity Act is fully enforced. Relevant parliamentary committees have been holding oversight meetings with the Minister of Civic Education and National Unity and other relevant departments and agencies to assess implementation of this new law. On the resolution on cybercrimes, the new risks to global security, which was adopted at the IPU in March 2023, Parliament of Malawi engaged the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority to consider reviewing and drafting bills on cybersecurity and data protection. As I'm talking, I'm pleased to report that on June the 3rd, 2024, Malawi's new Data Protection Act officially came into force after being gazetted in February 2024. The Act aims to provide a comprehensive regulatory framework for protecting personal data. The Act aligns with the provisions of Malawi's Constitution on the right to privacy and other provisions. Prior to the enactment of the Act, Part 4 of the Electronic Transactions and Cybersecurity Act of 2016 largely regulated data protection in the country. However, it failed to address some of the things which have been introduced in the new Act, which include enhanced rights for individuals and clear guidelines for data protection and other provisions. On the IPU resolution on parliamentary efforts in achieving negative carbon emission balances of forests, the Parliament of Malawi has enacted progressive legislation to address climate change. The legislations include the Climate Change Act, the Forestry Act, which provide a comprehensive framework for mitigating and adapting to climate change impacts, aligning national policies with the objective of Paris agreements and other relevant protocols. In relation to the above, Parliament of Malawi has gone paperless, moving away from segregation of documents. In addition, the Parliament has recently installed a new state-of-the-art e-chamber equipment, which has more advanced features than the old one and has reduced paper consumption by 85%. Madam President, we therefore want to encourage other parliaments to endeavor to implement resolutions that are passed by this Assembly. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, we will now go to Thailand. Mr. Chaiwat Satawonwichit. Then we'll go to Benin. Thailand. You have the floor. Thailand.
Thank you. Madam President, esteemed colleagues, my name is Chaiwat Satawonwichit. On behalf of the Parliament of Thailand, I am honored to share with you some key actions taken by the Parliament of Thailand in addressing the pressing issues of cyber scam, aligning with the IPU resolution, cybercrimes, the new risks to global security, adopted at the 146th IPU Assembly in March last year. In the past year alone, Thailand faces over 310,000 reported cases of cyber scam, amounting to losses of 1,200 million US dollars. The number of incidents has surged in recent years, underscoring the urgency of our response. And in addressing this, the Parliament of Thailand enacted a new law on cybercrime prevention and suppression, effective from 17th of March 2023. This legislation tackles the fast-moving nature of cybercrime by enabling data sharing between financial institutions, telecom operators, and relevant authorities, while also closing regulatory gaps that limit the ability of the authorities to respond quickly and effectively. A key features of this law is its provision for disrupting money laundering chain of mule accounts. It allows victims to request commercial banks and payment platforms to temporarily freeze suspicious accounts, ensuring that actions can be taken swiftly to prevent further damage. Banks are now required to cooperate with these requests, helping to halt the transfer chain and contain financial loss. In conclusion, Thailand reaffirms its commitment to combating cybercrime and supporting international collaboration for a safer digital future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thailand. Benin, Mr. Sedozan Jean-Claude Apithing will be followed by Fiji.
La présidente de l'Union interparlementaire, Mesdames et Messieurs les présidents d'assemblées parlementaires, Monsieur le secrétaire général de l'UIP, honorables et distingués parlementaires ici présents. En matière de mise en œuvre des résolutions et déclarations de l'Union interparlementaire, je vais vous présenter les actions entreprises par le Parlement du Bénin et celles-ci porteront sur, d'une part, la déclaration de Manama relative à la promotion de la coexistence pacifique et des sociétés inclusives et d'autre part, la résolution relative à la cybercriminalité visant en particulier les nouveaux risques pour la sécurité mondiale. En ce qui concerne la déclaration de Manama, l'Assemblée nationale du Bénin a procédé à la vulgarisation de la loi adoptée en 2022 portant statut des réfugiés et apatrides en République du Bénin. L'Assemblée nationale du Bénin a également mis en place à chaque législature un réseau de parlementaires sur les questions d'éducation, de formation professionnelle et d'emploi des jeunes. Il faut souligner également la mise en place du caucus des femmes parlementaires pour assurer davantage l'inclusion des femmes aux institutions de prise de décision et accroître leur représentation au sein de l'Assemblée nationale. Il y a lieu également de souligner la vulgarisation de la loi portant code du numérique en République du Bénin. En ce qui concerne le deuxième point, c'est-à-dire la résolution relative à la cybercriminalité, je voudrais dire que l'Assemblée nationale du Bénin a ratifié la Convention de l'Union africaine sur la cybercriminalité et la protection des données à caractère personnel et également la Convention de Budapest sur la cybercriminalité. Ces deux ratifications ont également permis au Bénin d'adhérer au premier protocole additionnel de la Convention sur la cybercriminalité relatif à l'incrimination d'actes de nature raciste et xénophobe commis par le biais de systèmes informatiques. Je vous remercie.
Thank you so much, Benin. We will now go to Fiji. Honorable Alita Bainivalu. You have the floor, Fiji.
Madam Chair, thank you for this opportunity to share with you some of the follow-up actions undertaken by the Fijian Parliament on IPU resolutions. On the Luanda Declaration on Parliamentary Action for Peace, Justice and Strong Institutions, Fiji continues to make progress in strengthening our parliamentary system, reinforcing its oversight function and enhancing social inclusion. In this respect, we have taken the following steps. For our committee system, we have amended our rules and procedures to provide more powers to our standing committees, which are the Parliament's principal oversight bodies. For instance, for committee inquiries, we have amended our standing orders by empowering standing committees to self-initiate inquiries on any oversight matter that come before them. In the previous term of Parliament, the power of standing committees to undertake in-depth inquiries or investigations was dormant and lacking clarity. Committees can now seek the Speaker's approval to undertake their own inquiries or investigations into matters of public interest and those which require closer parliamentary scrutiny, particularly for government or state-funded agencies. This is a way of ensuring more effective accountability and transparency. For our subcommittees, our Parliament has also provided more clarity and powers to subcommittees. These include enabling a member of Parliament who is not a member of the Standing Committee to be a member of the subcommittee. We have also allowed subcommittees to determine their own procedures subject to the Constitution, standing orders, or resolution of Parliament. This definitive action widens the scope of work, responsibilities, and functions of standing committees to make their oversight work more effective. Bipartisanship in this term of Parliament, there is a notable progress towards a more bipartisan approach by members. The coalition government is working more closely with opposition members to make Parliament more effective. While standing committees are traditionally chaired by government members, we now have one committee, the Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and Defense, that is being chaired by an opposition member. In keeping to the goal of making parliaments more inclusive, we continue to support the IPU Plan of Action for Gender-Sensitive Parliament. Parliament is providing the necessary administrative and financial support to the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians Fiji Group that is made up of all women MPs. All women MPs have active leadership roles in both Parliament and the Executive. 2 government MPs are ministers and 2 are assistant ministers. Our Deputy Speaker is a woman. All our women MPs, with the exception of 2 women ministers, are members of standing committees. In making our Parliament more inclusive and to strengthen citizen participation in parliamentary processes, we have invested heavily in the upgrade of our ICT conferencing system. After the adoption of the amended standing orders to allow members to speak in the vernacular, we have progressed with the installation of a multi-language translations and captioning system to our audio and visual broadcast system. It is envisaged that this would allow all Fijians, irrespective of literacy levels, to understand parliamentary debates, inquiries, and processes in the vernacular. Honorable Chair and Speakers and Members of Parliament, these are just few of the initiatives that the Fijian Parliament has undertaken in response to the Luanda Declaration of the 147th IPU Assembly. And I thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you so much, Fidi. Colleagues, I would like this opportunity to thank all of you who have been able to address us in this assembly in respect of what your parliaments have been working hard to ensure that the ideals of IPU are implemented in your respective countries. You have done a good job. So some of you who didn't have a chance to report this time, but we understand and take cognizance of all the good work that you're doing. So claps to all of you. Good work. But on a different note, I would like to commend the young parliamentarians. From my note here, they have all been on time to the dot. So kudos to the young parliamentarians. And then that said, I will ask Speaker Kasyavivi how young her parliament is. That said, colleagues, we were left with one colleague who is supposed to address us from the list of young parliamentarians, who is going to conclude our general debate. Once we are done with him, we will conclude with few remarks and then conclude the general debate. Our colleague from Ukraine, Mr. Beleniuk, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mrs. President, dear colleagues. My name is Jean Beleniuk. I am 33 years old, and I am a young Ukrainian MP, and also Olympic champion. I'm half Ukrainian and half Rwandan. My father from Rwanda, and he studied in Kiev, where he met my mom. And I'm proud to share Ukrainian and Rwandan roots. I started my career when I was a young 9 years old. And this year, I retired from my professional sport career after Olympic Games in Paris, when I got a third Olympic medal for my country. But unfortunately, thank you. But unfortunately, around 500 athletes from national Olympic and national teams from Ukraine will never do the same because they were killed by Russia. But Ukraine and Rwanda and many other African countries share a similar history, including genocide in Rwanda at 1994 and 30 years later in Ukraine. But everyone in Ukraine is victims. Russia shares a lot of fakes about in Africa continent about Ukraine, but I think I create a best example of tolerance and inclusion of Ukrainian society. Everything what I have is because of my country. We fight for independence and against Russian colonialism. Please stand with Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, we have had a very productive session, especially on the general debate when a number of delegations have been able to take the floor and they have shared what they have been doing in their countries also and their plans also that they plan to do in the future. So we wish you all the best and thank you so much for your participation in the general debate. At this moment, I would like to adjourn our meeting of the Assembly until tomorrow afternoon. That's when we are going to have the Assembly. But the Governing Council tomorrow morning at 9. So the members of the Governing Council will see you tomorrow morning at 9 sharp. And then those who are members of our Assembly will see you in the afternoon. Good luck and thank you so much once again.